May 1644, one man controlled whether China remained Chinese. Wu Sangui stood at Shanhai Pass, the single mountain and sea gateway between Manchuria and the heart of the Middle Kingdom. On one side, a Manchu army of over 100,000, the Qing force that had been probing China's defenses for decades. On the other, the rebel army that had just toppled the Ming dynasty, burned through Beijing, and driven the last emperor to hang himself from a tree. Wu Sangui chose. He opened the gates. That single act ended 276 years of Chinese imperial rule, delivered China to a foreign dynasty for the next 267 years, and launched Wu Sangui into permanent infamy as the man who let the conquerors in. Stay with me, because this is not a story of simple treachery. It is a story of impossible choices, a legend built around a woman and a man who switched sides twice and lost everything both times. Wu Sangui was born in 1612 into a military family on China's northeastern frontier. By his early 30s, he commanded Shanhai Pass, the single choke point where the mountains meet the Bohai Sea, the only viable route for a large army between Manchuria and the North China Plain. The Ming court called it the first pass under heaven. Wu Sangui held it well, even as everything behind him collapsed. Corrupt courts, empty treasuries, rebel armies multiplying across the interior. The dynasty collapsed anyway. In the spring of 1644, Li Zicheng, a former postal courier turned rebel warlord, marched on Beijing at the head of an army hundreds of thousands strong. The capital's defenses dissolved. Eunuchs unbarred gates. Garrison troops defected or fled. On April 25, 1644, Emperor Chongzhen, the 17th and final emperor of the Ming, walked alone to Coal Hill, behind the Forbidden City, and hanged himself from a locust tree. His final note, written on the hem of his robe, blamed his ministers for failing China. He did not blame himself. When the news reached Wu Sangui, he was already marching southwest toward Beijing to relieve the capital. He arrived too late. Li Zicheng's forces now occupied the city and the Forbidden City itself. Wu Sangui faced two choices: submit to the rebel who had destroyed the dynasty he served, or turn to the enemy he had spent his career holding at bay. The third option, the one no one expected, was something else entirely. Here is where history becomes legend, and legend resists easy verification. The most famous account holds that Wu Sangui was prepared to negotiate with Li Zicheng when he received word that his beloved concubine, Chen Yuanyuan, had been seized by one of Li Zicheng's commanders. The insult broke him. He turned his army north, opened negotiations with the Qing, and invited the Manchu through the gate in an act of fury over a stolen woman. The Qing-era poet Wu Weiye immortalized it. Wu Sangui had raised the flag of revolt for a beautiful woman. Some accounts say this. Historians largely dispute it as the primary cause. The Qing had been courting Wu Sangui for years. His father was being held in Beijing by Li Zicheng as a hostage, and was executed when Wu Sangui's choice became clear. The rebel army was volatile and politically unstable. The military logic for aligning with the organized, disciplined Qing over the chaotic rebel force was substantial. Chen Yuanyuan almost certainly existed. Whether she decided the fate of China is a far more complicated question. What is not disputed? On May 27, 1644, Wu Sangui opened the gates of Shanhai Pass. The Qing army flooded through. The combined forces of Wu Sangui and the Qing met Li Decheng that same afternoon. A sandstorm swept the plain as Qing cavalry struck the rebel flank. The rebel line shattered. Li Zicheng fled and was dead within weeks. The Qing entered Beijing. The 6-year-old Shanhai Emperor was installed in the Forbidden City. Wu Sangui's reward, near total sovereignty over Yunnan province in the far southwest. He spent the next 18 years hunting the last Ming claimants, finally driving the Yongle Emperor into Burma and having him executed in 1662. He had now destroyed both the Ming dynasty and every viable claimant to its throne. The Qing owed him an empire. He intended to collect. For nearly 3 decades, Wu Sangui governed Yunnan like an independent sovereign. His own army, his own tax system, his own appointments. 2 other regional kings held similar arrangements across the south. The Three Feudatories, controlling roughly 1/3 of China, funded by Qing subsidies that drained the imperial treasury. The Kangxi Emperor watched this with quiet alarm. By 1673, he ordered all 3 kingdoms dismantled. He was gambling that Wu Sangui would accept the order. In December 1673, Wu Sangui refused. He raised the banner of revolt, dressed his soldiers in Ming-style uniforms. The dynasty whose extinction he had engineered 30 years earlier, and declared himself fighting to restore Chinese rule against the Manchu occupiers. The irony was audible. The man who had opened the gates to the Qing now claimed to be the resistance against them. The revolt initially succeeded. Wu Sangui swept north through Hunan. Geng Jingzhong and Shang Jichin joined the uprising. At its peak, the rebellion controlled vast stretches of southern and central China, and Kangxi's court faced genuine crisis. But Kangxi was a more formidable opponent than Li Zicheng had been. He isolated the feudatories politically, negotiated defections, and waged a grinding 8-year campaign. By 1676, both Geng and Shang had surrendered. Wu Sangui held on in Hunan, but his momentum was spent. In 1678, he made his final move. He declared himself emperor of a new dynasty, the Zhou, in a formal ceremony at Hangzhou. He was 66 years old. 5 months later, he was dead of illness, still in Hunan, having never left the province. His grandson, Wu Shifan, retreated to Yunnan and held out until 1681, when Qing forces closed in. Wu Shifan was captured and executed. The Qing located and killed every male heir of the Wu family they could find. Wu Sangui's remains were reportedly dismembered and distributed across the provinces as warning. Chen Yuanyuan, the concubine at the center of the legend, reportedly spent her final years as a Buddhist nun and died in obscurity in Yunnan. She had outlasted everyone. Wu Sangui remains one of the most debated figures in Chinese historiography. Some scholars read him as a man making rational calculations under impossible pressure. His dynasty already dead, his father a hostage, his options narrowing by the day. Others argue he represents a particular kind of ambition that dresses itself in loyalty only when loyalty is convenient. What the historical record does not dispute is scale. His decision in May 1644 changed the trajectory of the largest empire on earth. He opened a door. Then, 30 years later, he tried to close it. He could not. The gate, once opened, was not his to shut.